Welcome to the kenosis journey. We are looking at the human condition. We looked at why we need to study and understand the human condition. But today we want to look at what is the human condition. As we look at many things that are going on in the world today, we understand there is a lot of anger, violence, hatred, and causing stress, causing anxiety, causing fear, causing, as the culture has been described as volatile, always changing, uncertain, not knowing what is going to happen in the future because things are constantly changing. Things are very complex because we are connected globally as countries. You can see issues in Pakistan and India affecting this part of the world. And so this is going to be the trend. And therefore, it is so important for us to understand the human condition, especially because we are going to deal with more and more machines. And this is going to bring up one important question. How do I stay human? So this is why understanding the human condition is so important so that we can find some solution on how to remain human. Allow me to share my screen here so that we can follow a track. So it will be easier for you to picture this. Um, so if you can see my screen, what is the human condition? And I want to ask you certain questions so that you can lean in, so that you can participate in this video, watching it. Take a moment and ask these questions. Have you ever felt that your parents favored or preferred your brother or sister over you? Have you felt upset because a teacher didn't like you for some reason that you don't know? Is there a moment in your life that you regret and you wish, oh, I wish I had not done that or said that? Have you, have your parents or brothers or sisters laughed at you when you shared an idea or a dream? Did you frequently feel bitterness towards those in authority over you? Are you often worried about the consequence of not earning enough or having enough money? Have you ever avoided doing something because you were afraid to fail? Have you ever overreacted when asked about certain cultural bias you may have? Have you engaged in eating too much or eating very little? Have you ever abused any drugs without having medical reasons? Do you feel constant need to do things? Everything has to be perfectly done. And so you try and try and try. Have you ever felt that you need to withdraw and be alone, for a period of time? Not for a moment, but for a period of time. Have you felt worthless? Have you felt the pressure to be part of a group that you don't like, but you uh, still do it because you want to please? Do you say to yourself that you should be doing better? I should be working hard and doing better. Think about these questions. Do you feel generally anxious about the future? Maybe I won't have enough money, or maybe my job will be taken away, or maybe the support will stop. Do you sometimes avoid face contact when you talk to people? Do you take it very personally or feel rejected when somebody says no when you ask for something? Do you experience anger when something personal is asked about you, or why didn't you do the task, or call you to accountability? Do you work with a slump or posture or a drop shoulder? Do you unconsciously hesitate when you are about to speak? Do you experience tension or tense muscles in your body or tight shoulders, especially when you're asked to speak up? Do you feel, uh, your hands freezing or cold hands or butterfly in the stomach, unable to express when you are asked a question? Do you feel depressed at times without any good reason? Or do you lower your eyes when you're speaking to someone? Do you bite your tongue? These are some questions that I thought through. And here's the reason why. The main reason why we do such thing is because of shame. This one thing has affected and changed the human condition. Where we were supposed to experience joy, we are experiencing shame. And shame is a killer joy, is a joy killer. Let's look at some biblical theological perspectives to understand the human condition. So here's my main point. Human beings experience shame because they are estranged. I use this particular word because this is a word that means you're separated or you we have broken our relationship with God. Our relationship with God is broken. And because separation can mean also physical separation, we are not separated from God in the sense we only feel that we have a broken relationship or a broken communion or a broken feeling of alienation from God, isolation from God. But God is all around us and He is very close to us, yet we don't feel that. So, this is why we are studying this human condition. Humanity feels dead inside, we don't. We feel physically alive, but inside of us there is a deadness. If you don't know the Christ, the living, life-giving uh, person, God. So humanity feels dead because they are estranged from life. God is life, from the life of God. Humanity feels unloved many times because they are estranged from love, the love of God. And sometimes they feel forsaken because they are estranged from joy, the community of God. And I hope you understand that. This is why we are looking at the book of Hosea, because God asks Hosea, the prophet Hosea, to marry a prostitute, somebody who is loving many things, many people, and to be married and to feel how God feels with in a broken relationship. So Hosea is supposed to experience what God is experiencing. And I hope we can understand that God is trying to communicate his heart, how he feels about people who are supposed to be God's beloved. And here he calls them his wife, but the wife has become a prostitute. I hope you understand that. This is where when God began to speak through Hosea, he said, "Go take yourself an adulterous wife and children of unfaithfulness." So something born out of such a relationship is what we are seeing. So why and how did people depart from the Lord? That's a question. People have departing from that the land is guilty of vilest adultery in departing from the Lord. So why and how did the people depart from the Lord? And in chapter 11, God gives another way of saying this. When Israel was a child, I loved him. In other words, when they were crying out in Egypt for help, for mercy, for compassion, for relief, God heard them and took them as his children. I called my son. There he came to them and delivered them and took them out of their bondage. But the more God called them, the more they went away from me. So this is the heart of rebellion in us. This is the heart that Adam and Eve uh, created for us. Our first human beings uh, developed a heart of rebellion because of wanting independence from God, going away from God. Going away from God is a natural tendency within us. So the more I called out to Israel, the further they went away. So inside of us, the psychology of rebellion, independence, I want to be myself. I want to, myself is more important. So it's a self-centeredness that changes the direction. Instead of moving towards God, we are moving away from God. So this is the human condition, if you get. This is what is called as change. So imagine if I had a piece of paper and this is like God and us, okay? And we were ripped apart and there is a hole. When there is a hole, now we are trying to patch that hole with other things so that the hole, nobody will see the hole. Okay. This has happened to our head. Nothing happened anywhere else. So this is the feeling that when a thought came into our heart that I want to be like God, I don't want to obey God. I want to obey myself, create my own rules and regulations. I will determine what is good and bad for myself. I don't want somebody saying what is good and bad. So partaking of that tree of knowledge of good and evil was a departure. It was the way we were estranged from God, separated, isolated, alienated, moved away from God, from the center, which is God and Christ. So, how do people deal with shame? Today, psychology says when there is shame, when there is an emptiness inside of us, a hole, we first try to fight defensive. So, we take a defensive posture to protect ourselves, the wounded self. We fight, we get frustrated, or we get worried. We take flight. We go into places and hide ourselves by worrying. Hiding in our head is one of the way of worrying. So it's a deflection. It's a moving away from facing problem. So as long as we can worry in our head, we don't have to deal with the problem. Or we deflect or we change topic. We talk about something else. Everything is okay. Yeah, yeah, everything is okay. Even though we have an issue going on in our lives. Or sometimes we freeze, we get overwhelmed, we don't know what to do. We disengage, you know, and and uh, sometimes we try to perform, to cover the lack in within us, to cover the wound within us. We try to cover it up with a lot of work to prove to ourselves that we are okay. We work hard. And oftentimes, what happens is when we do that, we neglect our important relationship because we are so focused on covering up our wounds, and and we don't know how to uh, find a solution to this. And that is the human situation: anxiety, depression, stress, fear, tension, panicking, you know, um, frustration, despair, tiredness, body pain, feeling down, all these. But life was not meant to be this way. That is the human um potential. Life was meant to be joyful in the hands of God because God created us in the Garden of Eden, a delightful place where everything was provided. There was no lack. God was providing and taking care of everything. And it was a place of unceasing life, unconditional love, always loved, always belonging. Everybody belonged. You look at that, even animals were joyful. They were not wild and, uh, you know, eating each other. There was peace and unending joy. This is what life was meant to be. But the what happened was we were we there's one thing that happened which I will describe in another video that changed the situation, that brought sadness, sorrow, not joy. It took away the joy. And as we departed to be like God, So don't forget that. That was the condition that has been transferred over generation to us. So the book of Hosea talks about humanity departing from the Lord or walking away from God. And what comes out is what he calls as three children of such a relationship. A broken relationship is a life that will end, a love that ends, and joy that ends. It's always ending, it's not beginning. Jezreel, Lo Ruhama, and Lo Ami, feeling wounded or sowing death. No more life, no more love, forsaken, no more joy of belonging and feeling alone. So the word itself, Jezreel, means no more life. God sows the seed into the ground, meaning death, where there's going to be no more life, or end of life, no more love, loruhama, no more belonging, or end of relationship of joy, actually. So, in this video, I just want to leave that with you so that we understand the human condition. It's causing from our shame all the other emotions that we feel that makes us look down, that makes us feel uncomfortable, is caused by shame. And shame is the feeling of guilt that is causing shame when we are around others. So, uh, as we look into the next video, we can talk about what God is pleading with us to do. Okay. Thank you so much and hope this has been helpful for you.